SPTT is a Khmer English machine translator, and my name is Karel Kulhavý, and I come from Czech Republic, European Union, and I have a master degree in computer science from Charles University in Czech Republic, and that was founded 83 years before the Khmer Empire ended. In 2016 I moved to Cambodia. And how did the SPTT arise? In 2013-14 I wrote a visual cortex simulator of the brain, and that was working well, and I was very fascinated by that. And I wanted to apply the same paradigm to language data. I didn't have a goal of making a translator, so I started the programming in 2014, also had the first small Khmer corpus in 2014, and since then I filled in 99.4% of 55,000 phrases. That's here, so it includes the English to Khmer and Khmer to English phrases, and 0.6% was done by other contributors. And since then I spent 2,700 hours on that project and gathered 3 gigabytes of cleaned up Khmer corpus. You know, that's the big text the neural network is using to learn, to train about the Khmer language. What does the SPTT solve or hopes to solve? Well, at the beginning, when I came to Cambodia, I couldn't chat with Khmer people using the Google Translator because sometimes it changes the meaning and it just derailed the conversation. They had no idea what I'm talking about suddenly. And other people I talked to, they almost all complain about Google, you know, changing the meaning. I tried recently my SPTT, took some example real-world documents from a translation company and showed them the resulting translation, which I made using the SPTT. Basically, I copy-paste it into SPTT, take the result, put it into a word processor, and then clean up the grammar, you know, make it smooth, and fix those phrases which were not translated. And the good thing about SPTT is that it's trustworthy. You know, when it translates, then it translates properly. You know, it doesn't make up things, it doesn't change the meaning, and time to time it doesn't know some phrase, and then it will just produce gibberish. You know, so you immediately know that is a failure. You know, and you can look up that one particular phrase and translate it yourself using a dictionary, you know, and you know the rest is fine, and you get a precise, trustworthy translations. We have 60 million people in Cambodia, and today you have this digital, you know, online selling. They can sell their products worldwide now, and there is necessary to produce good English, I believe, because every time I see products with bad English, I think, like, if they paid so little attention to the quality of the English, how much attention did they pay to the quality of the actual product, right? And second problem is, if there are some misunderstandings between the seller and the customer due to problem with understanding English, it will probably look like a fraud to the customer. You know, that's, I think, a big problem when selling things. And then another application is what I use is when I need to understand information which is available only in Khmer. For example, news or some laws which were not translated into English. How does SPTT solve these problems? You know, SPTT mimics a actual human doing the translation. You know, finding those phrases of known meaning, translating them, and then putting that together. That's how I translate myself. It uses a hybrid approach, neural network or AI, deep learning. That is the modern part, and it uses a classical part of a manually curated translation table. This is where the trustworthiness comes from, because there was a human who decided this phrase will translate to that. I know that is correct, It doesn't pretend to be perfect. It gives you control over the translation because it understands that you may want to correct it afterwards, right? So it shows you how it made the translation, and if you decided some of the phrase translation was a failure, then you have a selection of 36 dictionaries, translators, and glossaries to look it up manually, So what features does it have? It breaks up the input phrase by phrase, so you have control over the translation. If it needs to break some phrase into pieces to translate it piece by piece, then it shows you in blue and green color. It shows you how it did reordering of the words. It has IP pronunciation, which is better than Google, both in Khmer and English. And you can search in Khmer and English phrases of the actual neural network, not in only words, in whole phrases, like the constitutional monarchy, pictures that's being filled in right now, there was this Cambodia picture, and there are external OCR buttons. Google doesn't have OCR, so if you have a Khmer document which is as a picture, you cannot translate it with Google. Here I put the same text into Google and SPTT. It deals with the simplest, most frequent words like bong and on, and Google fails in 7 out of 8 cases. Bong is not brother, it is older sibling. On is not brother, that is younger sibling. Bong on are not brothers, they are siblings. Bong Srai is not a sister, it's an older sister. On Srai is not a sister, it's a younger sister. Bong Pro is not a brother, it's an older brother. And On Pro, Google succeeded, younger brother. Another case, why did it skip somewhere else? That is about 7, right? This is a description of a person. Knong vai sa pichnam sambo sraam mid dambong. At the age of 42 years, light brown complexion, large and tall stature. Sugar Palm Tree Translator translates 100% correctly, clear in detail, exact word, I know exactly what it means. Google Translate at the age of 42, Sambo Sram Madambong. This part is just not translated, it's just transliterated. The Khmer pronunciation doesn't tell us what it means. Microsoft Bing, at 42 years of age, the rat sweet. Here Microsoft has some kind of sexual fantasies or what? It was definitely not in the input. Yandex Translate, age 42 years to the first Christmas statue of the car. There's just, what's that? There's nothing about Christmas, nothing about loving. This is an example of a practical case in a law. And the problem here is that even a human translation here is ambiguous, and Sugar Palm Tree gives you a better translation than that. Because this is Kitsonia Mauka, which actually means contract to contract. That is from Sugar Palm Tree Translator. And how do I know it? I know the word Mauka, which I look up in the dictionary, and I also know from experience in Cambodia